The Heroes of Olympus, Book 5, The Blood of Olympus, by Rick Riordan. Chapter 13, Nico. The last thing Nico heard was Coach Hedge grumbling, "Well, this isn't good." He wondered what he'd done wrong this time. Maybe he'd teleported them into a den of cyclopes, or 1,000 feet above another volcano. There was nothing he could do about it. His vision was gone. His other senses were shutting down. His knees buckled, and he passed out. He tried to make the most of his unconsciousness. Dreams and death were old friends of his. He knew how to navigate their dark borderland. He sent out his thoughts, searching for Thalia Grace. He rushed past the usual fragments of painful memories, his mother smiling down at him, her face illuminated by the sunlight rippling off the Venetian Grand Canal, his sister Bianca laughing as she pulled him across the mall in Washington, D.C., her green floppy hat shading her eyes and the splash of freckles across her nose. He saw Percy Jackson on a snowy cliff outside Westover Hall, shielding Nico and Bianca from the Manticore as Nico clutched a Mythomagic figurine and whispered, "I'm scared." He saw Minos, his old ghostly mentor, leading him through the labyrinth. Minos' smile was cold and cruel. "Don't worry, son of Hades. You will have your revenge." Nico couldn't stop the memories. They cluttered his dreams like the ghosts of Asphodel, an aimless, sorrowful mob pleading for attention. "Save me," they seemed to whisper. "Remember me. Help me. Comfort me." He didn't dare stop to dwell on them. They would only crush him with wants and regrets. The best he could do was to stay focused and push through. "I am the son of Hades," he thought. "I go where I wish. The darkness is my birthright." He forged ahead through a gray and black terrain, looking for the dreams of Thalia Grace, daughter of Zeus. Instead, the ground dissolved at his feet, and he fell into a familiar backwater, the Hypnos cabin at Camp Half-Blood. Buried under piles of feather comforters, snoring demigods nestled in their bunks. Above the mantel, a dark tree branch dripped milky water from the river Lethe into a bowl. A cheerful fire crackled in the fireplace. In front of it, in a leather armchair, dozed the head counselor for Cabin 15, a pot-bellied guy with unruly blonde hair and a gentle bovine face. "Clovis," Nico growled, "for the god's sake, stop dreaming so powerfully." Clovis's eyes fluttered open. He turned and stared at Nico, though Nico knew this was simply part of Clovis's own dreamscape. The actual Clovis would still be snoring in his armchair back at camp. "Oh, hi." Clovis yawned wide enough to swallow a minor god. "Sorry, did I pull you off course again?" Nico gritted his teeth. There was no point getting upset. The Hypnos cabin was like Grand Central Station for dream activity. You couldn't travel anywhere without going through it once in a while. "As long as I'm here," Nico said. "Pass along a message. Tell Chiron I'm on my way with a couple of friends. We're bringing the Athena Parthenos." Clovis rubbed his eyes. "So it's true? How are you bringing it? Did you rent a van or something?" Nico explained as concisely as possible. Messages sent through dreams tended to get fuzzy around the edges, especially when you were dealing with Clovis. The simpler, the better. "We're being followed by a hunter," Nico said. "One of Gaia's giants, I think. Can you get that message to Thalia Grace? You're better at finding people in dreams than I am. I need her advice." "I'll try." Clovis fumbled for a cup of hot chocolate on the side table. Before you go, do you have a second?" "Clovis, this is a dream," Nico reminded him. "Time is fluid." Even as he said it, Nico worried about what was happening in the real world. His physical self might be plummeting to his death, or surrounded by monsters. Still, he couldn't force himself to wake up. Not after the amount of energy he'd expended on shadow travel. Clovis nodded. "Right. I was thinking you should probably see what happened today at the Council of War. I slept through some of it, but—" "Show me," Nico said. The scene changed. Nico found himself in the rec room of the big house, all the senior camp leaders gathered around the ping-pong table. At one end sat Chiron the centaur, his equine posterior collapsed into his magic wheelchair, so he looked like a regular human. His curly brown hair and beard had more gray streaks than a few months ago. Deep lines etched his face. "Things we can't control," he was saying. "Now let's review our defenses. Where do we stand?" Clarice from the Ares cabin sat forward. She was the only one in full armor, which was typical. Clarice probably slept in her combat gear. As she spoke, she gestured with her dagger, which made the other counselors lean away from her. "Our defensive line is mostly solid," she said. "The campers are as ready to fight as they'll ever be. We control the beach. Our triremes are unchallenged on Long Island Sound, but those stupid giant eagles dominate our airspace. Inland, in all 3 directions, the barbarians have us completely cut off." "They're Romans," said Rachel Dare, doodling with a marker on the knee of her jeans. "Not barbarians." Clarice pointed her dagger at Rachel. "What about their allies, huh? Did you see that tribe of 2-headed men that arrived yesterday? Or the glowing red dog-headed guys with the big pulley axes? They look pretty barbaric to me. It would have been nice if you'd foreseen any of that, if your oracle power didn't break down when we needed it most." Rachel's face turned as red as her hair. "That's hardly my fault. Something is wrong with Apollo's gifts of prophecy. If I knew how to fix it..." "She's right." Will Solace, head counselor for the Apollo cabin, put his hand gently on Clarice's wrist. Not many campers could have done that without getting stabbed, but Will had a way of diffusing people's anger. He got her to lower her dagger. "Everyone in our cabin has been affected. It's not just Rachel." Will's shaggy blonde hair and pale eyes reminded Nico of Jason Grace, but the similarities ended there. Jason was a fighter. You could tell from the intensity of his stare, his constant alertness, the coiled-up energy in his frame. Will Solace was more like a lanky cat stretched out in the sunshine. His movements were relaxed and non-threatening, his gaze soft and far away. In his faded Surf Barbados t-shirt, his cut-off shorts and flip-flops, he looked about as unaggressive as a demigod could get, but Nico knew he was brave under fire. During the Battle of Manhattan, Nico had seen him in action, the camp's best combat medic, risking his life to save wounded campers. "We don't know what's going on at Delphi," Will continued. "My dad hasn't answered any prayers, or appeared in any dreams. I mean, all the gods have been silent, but this isn't like Apollo. Something's wrong." Across the table, Jake Mason grunted. "Probably this Roman dirtwipe who's leading the attack. Octavian, what's his name? If I was Apollo and my descendant was acting that way, I'd go into hiding out of shame." "I agree," Will said. "I wish I was a better archer. I wouldn't mind shooting my Roman relative off his high horse. Actually, I wish I could use any of my father's gifts to stop this war." He looked down at his hands with distaste. "Unfortunately, I'm just a healer." "Your talents are essential," Chiron said. "I fear we'll need them soon enough. As for seeing the future, what about the harpy Ella? Has she offered any advice from the Sibylline books?" Rachel shook her head. "The poor thing is scared out of her wits. Harpies hate being imprisoned. Ever since the Romans surrounded us, well, she feels trapped. She knows Octavian means to capture her. It's all Tyson and I can do to keep her from flying away." "Which would be suicide." Butch Walker, son of Ares, crossed his burly arms. "With those Roman eagles in the air, flying isn't safe. I've already lost 2 Pegasi." "At least Tyson brought some of his Cyclops friends to help out," Rachel said. "That's a little good news." Over by the refreshment table, Connor Stoll laughed. He had a fistful of Ritz crackers in one hand and a can of Easy Cheese in the other. "A dozen full-grown Cyclopes? That's a lot of good news. Plus, Lou Ellen and the Hecate kids have been putting up magic barriers, and the whole Hermes cabin has been lining the hills with traps and snares and all kinds of nice surprises for the Romans." Jake Mason frowned. "Most of which you stole from Bunker 9 and the Hephaestus cabin." Clarice grumbled in agreement. "They even stole the landmines from around the Ares cabin. How do you steal live landmines?" "We commandeered them for the war effort." Connor sprayed a glob of Easy Cheese into his mouth. "Besides, you guys have plenty of toys. You can share." Chiron turned to his left, where the satyr Grover Underwood sat in silence, fingering his reed pipes. "Grover, what news from the nature spirits?" Grover heaved a sigh. "Even on a good day, it's hard to organize nymphs and dryads. With Gaia stirring, they're almost as disoriented as the gods. Katie and Miranda from the Demeter cabin are out there right now, trying to help. But if the Earth Mother wakes..." He looked around the table nervously. "Well, I can't promise the woods will be safe, or the hills, or the strawberry fields, or..." "Great." Jake Mason elbowed Clovis, who was starting to nod off. "So what do we do?" "Attack!" Clarice pounded the ping-pong table, which made everyone flinch. "The Romans are getting more reinforcements by the day. We know they plan to invade on August 1st. Why should we let them set the timetable? I can only guess they're waiting to gather more forces. They already outnumber us. We should attack now, before they get any stronger. Take the fight to them. Malcolm, the acting head counselor for Athena, coughed into his fist. Clarice, I get your point, but have you studied Roman engineering? Their temporary camp is better defended than Camp Half-Blood. Attack them at their base, and we'd be massacred. So we just wait? Clarice demanded. Let them get all their forces prepared while Gaia gets closer to waking? I have Coach Hedge's pregnant wife under my protection. I am not going to let anything happen to her. I owe Hedge my life. Besides, I've been training the campers more than you have, Malcolm. Their morale is low. Everybody is scared. If we're under siege another 9 days... We should stick to Annabeth's plan. Connor Stoll looked about as serious as he ever did, despite the easy cheese around his mouth. We have to hold out until she gets that magic Athena statue back here. Clarice rolled her eyes. You mean if that Roman praetor gets the statue back here? I don't understand what Annabeth was thinking, collaborating with the enemy. Even if the Roman manages to bring us the statue, which is impossible, we're supposed to trust that will bring peace. The statue arrives, and suddenly the Romans lay down their weapons and start dancing around, throwing flowers. Rachel set down her marking pen. Annabeth knows what she's doing. We have to try for peace. Unless we can unite the Greeks and Romans, the gods won't be healed. Unless the gods are healed, there's no way we can kill the giants. And unless we kill the giants... Gaia wakes, Connor said. Game over. Look, Clarice, Annabeth sent me a message from Tartarus. From freaking Tartarus. Anybody who can do that? Hey, I listen to them. Clarice opened her mouth to reply, but when she spoke, it was Coach Hedge's voice. Nico, wake up! We've got problems.